Right, let's head back to Motown. The last churn when we saw the leadership return with the auto sector, there's a lot that has been said. Are waiting lines getting shorter for the delivery of a new car or even a used car for that matter? With the festive season almost here, what is it also looking like when it comes to discounts and schemes? If you've got long waiting lines, should you even be expecting the kind of discounts that you have all been used to? That and more is what we're going to be discussing with Banwari Lal Sharma, the CEO of the consumer business at Car Trade. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show. Now, if you look at the recent commentary that has come in from your top management, it is very bullish when it comes in for the festive season. Going into the festive season, what is demand looking like? When we talk to the automakers, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, they're telling us the capacity is improving, capacity utilization is almost at 100%, waiting lines should get shorter. First, you tell us what has been your experience in the last few weeks.
Absolutely, Nantara. So this is exactly what is happening. I talked about last also when we spoke that we always witness a great exuberant festive season, and this is the time wherein the build-up starts. So we are looking at about 20% growth in the used car market in the festive pre-COVID, and I think we have very track on that. We have two indicators typically: buying inquiries, people looking at, let's say, buying used cars, and people who want to sell their cars. Buying inquiries a little ahead of selling inquiries. So sellers are about 20% up, 18%, but the buying inquiries are about 35% up as we see right now. Of course, this has both market expansion, or let's say the demand which is real out there, as well as our effort as an organization to keep growing, keep, let's say, putting that growth on the map. So these two look very similar as far as the discounts, etc. You talked about the new car industry, used car industry. Prices are not going to correct very soon. Discounts may not come to the degree that they used to be, but there are now, let's say, discussions happening. A couple of OEMs are offering some discounts that you can go out and take your cars for, which means typically those cars are available off the shelf. You can just go and take 7 to 15 days delivery. There are others wherein the discounts are shorter, I mean smaller, and waiting periods are there, but not too long. So we are far ahead of what it used to be, let's say 2 quarters ago. And used cars, I already said, supply is building up. It's still not in the same tune that we used to see, but much better times than what we saw, let's say, a few quarters that went by.
Situation on ground for new as well as used cars improving in the last couple of weeks from what it used to be, maybe let's say immediately after the Russian-Ukrainian war, and of course the supply chain disruptions. But can you elaborate a little more on what you're saying about the schemes and the discounts? You're saying don't be used to it, but a bunch of auto companies are coming out with discounts. Can you throw some color on it? That's what our viewers will also want to know ahead of Diwali.
So just to give a perspective, let's say if you go back to something like December 19, December 18, December 17, these are typically the periods wherein December is a year change for the car industry and bike industry. And Indians are very, picky about those years. They always want to buy a car for the next year, let's say, which means typically a slowdown in the December. And this is where the most discounts come along. So typically, a discount range used to be in a month of December earlier, anywhere between 2% to 5%. Some OEMs, let's say, could struggle and take it to up to, let's say, 8 to 10% as well. These times are not going to come back this year. Diwali, the festive period, is slightly lower in terms of discounting. It is not as good as December, but still, it used to get fairly good, handsome offers. You'll typically hear 50,000, 70,000, 1 lakh, let's say 1.5 lakhs programs, kind of, let's say, which is loyalty, exchange, corporate discounts. You will not hear these kind of advertisements this festive or December. There would be some wherein you'll get, let's say, a 2% or 1% discount on the car. So let's say a larger car getting 50,000, 70,000 rupees. These are coming along. Renault announced some discounts earlier this month. Maruti, I've heard, let's say, offering some discounts on some models. And there's some other stories as well. This will keep happening. In fact, car wale or bike wale are fairly equipped. They tell you all the time what exactly is the discount coming along. But this is what the tune is, almost like a 70% lower discount than what used to be pre-COVID. Now, this could change next year or year after that, but this year is what we have to uh, settle with.
The fact that you're saying that companies are luring customers with greater discounts and that's only going to get heightened in the run up to December, wanted to understand whether the consumer as well is getting a little bit price conscious purely because of the high inflationary environment all around us.
So, I mean, the demand is so strong that we're not really seeing any changes as far as consumer behavior is concerned. In fact, I'll give you a small data point which I quickly pulled before coming to this show. Uh, Average price of a used car on Carvale. So we have about 1 lakh car listed on Carvale as we speak, let's say right now, and average price of a car is about 7.8 lakhs. If I remove dealer cars, because dealers typically have very expensive cars, and Carval is very popular with expensive cars, so we have Rolls Royces, Ferraris, and Lamborghinis. If I remove those cars, let's say, and I look at only consumers listing their cars, the data says that we are sitting at something like 5.9 lakh rupees average car price. This is very very high as far as this industry is concerned. Just to give you perspective, if we go back pre-COVID, 3 years, 4, 5 years, let's say, India's new car market average was about 5.5 lakh rupees, inching towards 6 lakh rupees. Used cars in this price range is something which is unheard of. Now, there are a couple of factors here that we must consider why this happened. One, of course, everything has gone up. Let's say the entire inflationary environment you're talking about, from input costs to, let's say, developing those products and then selling those no discounts, that has gone up. Second thing is the structural change within the product itself. So, for example, earlier India used to buy hatchbacks. Now India is buying SUVs. One more data point I'll give you: SUVs used to be 20. They are 29% of entire country today as we speak. It used to be something like 22% 3 years ago. I looked at the data. So 22% composition of SUVs to 29% composition of SUVs in 2022. How it helps? It helps because SUV on an average is a more expensive car than, let's say, a hatchback or a sedan counterpart. So let's say if you buy a Skoda Superb and you buy a Skoda Kodiaq, similar platform cars, but the segment, which is the body type, which is SUV versus, there'll be about 10 to 15% price differentiation. These two, let's say, parameters along with inflation has helped the industry go to a very different level of price segment, which should worry, let's say, us in a way. But frankly, I already told you 35% inquiries up. It's a great sign. So clearly, there's a very strong demand which is supporting, despite high prices, people are really looking at buying these cars.
Right. Okay, Mr. Sharma, great to have you on the show today to give us that color on what really is going on with the used car market. Good to get in all this perspective from you.
Thank you.